What's going on, guys? This is Paul Gabby from paulgabbybeats.com, a website coming to you soon. It is still under construction, but in this video I am going to be doing a basic overrun of Fruity Loops 20. I love this program. It's used by so many of the greats. You're talking Avicii, rest in peace. We're talking Afrojack, we're talking Murder Beats, we're talking Mike Will made it, like the list goes on. It's one of the most underrated DAWs in the market today. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing a basic overrun of that program. FL20, I started on FL8 way back in the day when it was like, I think I even got the cracked version. Yeah, but anyways, this is FL20 basic overrun for all you new producers out there. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into it. FL20. Let's get it. Alright guys, so let's open up our FL Studio 20. If you haven't downloaded it, there will be a link in the description where you can go and purchase this beautiful, beautiful program. So when you open up FL Studio, the first thing you're gonna see is this pattern box. It looks like something like a grid. Now, this pattern box is like your canvas. This is where you sequence, you lay out your melodies and you sequence your tracks. We'll get into that in a short moment. But first, I wanted to go through a few of the main functions up on the top toolbar. This section right here. So you got your basic play, stop, and record button. And on the right of the record button, you have your tempo box, which is your BPM. So if you right click on that, there is a few default BPMs that have already been set up for you. So we're gonna hit 90. 90 is the standard BPM for hip hop and R&B. And if you don't know what BPM means, it basically means beat per minute, which is the speed or the tempo of the track. So we're set at 90 now. I'm gonna left click on that and scroll up to about 95 with my mouse. So yeah, that's about the standard BPM for hip hop and R&B. On the right of that, you got what's called a metronome. This metronome is a tool which helps you identify, so let me just fix my screen up here real quick. Is a tool that helps you identify with your ears the speed of the track. So it's basically, when you activate it, it basically sounds like drumsticks tapping together at the corresponding tempo or BPM that you've set it at. We're currently at 95. So if I hit the space bar, if I click on the metronome and I hit the space bar, this is what you hear. Turn the volume up. So that's the speed of the track. Now you can identify if that's, you know, what you want or what you don't want. On the right of that is something which is not really named, but it's called, I call it the input. So when you click on the input, what it's going to basically do is when you try to record, it won't start recording until you click on a key on your MIDI controller. So I hit that. When you hit that, and then you hit the record button, click on everything, hit play. Let me select an instrument. That's probably the first thing I should have done. So I'll go up to add, click on Nexus, one of my favorite VSTs. Just select an instrument. All right, so I've got an instrument that I like. So let's repeat the process. So if I click on my input, click on my metronome, hit the record button, hit everything, then hit play. It's not going to start recording until I hit a key on my MIDI controller, just like this. Hit the space bar and it stops recording, okay? So that's what the input does. Now, on the right of the input, it actually gives you another option, which is like a 3-second countdown. So it's going to give you 3 seconds before it starts recording. So let's try that. As soon as I hit my MIDI key, then it's going to begin the countdown. So that's it. It gives you the countdown. 3, 2, 1, bang. You're off to a start on your melodies. Now, those are the three main functions that I use, and the basic functions, pretty much all you need to know for now when it comes to these functions here. On the right over here, you'll see a bunch of tabs. I'm going to explain what each of those mean and what they are. So this one here is your pattern box. This is where you sequence out your tracks. So if I make a melody, I'm going to layer it out here. And this is where you actually build your track. On the right of that is your piano roll. We'll get into that in a sec. But first I want to explain to you what the channel rack is. So this is your channel rack. This is where you apply your VST plugins or your instruments or your samples. So if I'm going to go to add, Predator, it turns up on this channel rack. Now you can make as many of these channel racks as you like, or you can stack your instruments in the same channel rack. It's totally up to you. The way I like to do it is keep my instruments on different channel racks separate. That way when I'm laying them out on my playlist, then they will be all separated, and I can delete instruments here or add instruments here depending on how I want to fit the sequence. Also in the channel rack, you can add the VSTs this way as well. So if you just hit that arrow, add one, Synthmeister, bam, just like that. On the left here, you have your volume controls and your pan controls. These controls, I don't really touch them here. I like to control my volume on my mixer, which we'll get to in a sec. On the left here, what you see is a browser tab. That's this one up here. This tab here will showcase your browser. This is where all of your samples are being stored. This is what I love about Fruity Loops. You can literally grab and drop samples, waves, MP3s, whatever, MIDIs. Everything is just so drag and drop. It's awesome to work with. Okay, so this tab over here, this is your browser tab. This is where you have your sample packs. Everything in FL Studio is so drag and drop. That's why I love this program, because it's so easy to move around your wave files, your MP3s, all your samples, your VSTs and your MIDIs. Everything is just so drag and drop. All right, so I'm gonna open up my Swizz Beats kit right here, and I've got some loops. Drag and drop. Now what I can do, so if I click this right here, I'm able to drag this sample just like that to fit within the tempo of the song. But when you do that, what happens is it actually manipulates the pitch. So we're going to double click on our sample, right click, reset. That way it's back to its original pitch. So that's your browser kit. Alright, so now what I like to do with my mixer, now I like to assign every single instrument, whether it's a kick, whether it's a snare, hi-hat, a lead, a string, whatever sound that I'm working with, I always assign it to one of these mixer tracks. Each individual sound has its own mixer track right there. So if I'm going to grab this loop, I'm going to right click on that loop. I'm going to go down to my mixer track. Let's say insert to, channel routing, route selected to this track. As so. Now this loop is playing through this mixer track here. It's going to feed itself through this mixer track. Alright, so that's what happens. Now that we've assigned it to a mixer track, we are able to add elements, add effects and different plugins to it. Just by going over to this section here, if I go to slot 1, I can add an EQ. So don't like it too much on the high hand, I'll just take that down a notch. Say I wanted to have a little bit of a reverb. Usually I wouldn't do this with my drum loops, but just to give you an example, I'll just use a stock standard Fruity Loops reverb. Sounds completely horrible, but it is basically just to showcase how you add effects to your sounds. You can do this with vocals or any other loops or samples, or you can even do this with your plugins. That's basically how you add elements or effects to your instruments. And what I was saying before about the channel rack and the volume controls, and me not liking to use them there, that's because I control everything in my mixer track. All my volumes and everything I like to control in my mixer. Why? Because it allows me to visually see the sound peaking in my master, and it will allow me to accurately leave the right type of headroom when I'm building a track. So yeah, those are the basics on Fruity Loops FL20. So if I've missed anything, left anything out, please type it down in the comments below. Let me know so I can maybe put it in the next video. I'm going to be doing a bunch of tutorials based around FL Studio and music production, and if there's anything that you guys want me to cover, put it in the comments below and I'll be sure to give it my best shot. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am Paul Gabby, and until the next video, peace.